आजको एपिसोडमा पनि हामीसँग हुनुहुन्छ National Director of Habitat Nepal, Eliza Sthapit. You're, first of all, a very dynamic personality, Eliza. I'm so happy that you made it to our show today. Thank you very much and welcome to the show, Eliza.
Thank you, Mandira. The pleasure is all mine.
हजुर really हामीले चाहिँ हुन्छ नि यो पडकास्टमा एलिजा स्थापितजीलाई चाहिँ इन्भाइट गर्नुपर्छ भनेर प्लान गर्नु कुरा गर्नुको पछाडि नै द मेजर कारण रिजन चाहिँ के थियो भने यु हेभ सच अ प्लेजेन्ट डाइनामिक पर्सनालिटी कि वर सो इम्प्रेस्ड बाई यु एन्ड यु क्यारी यर सेल्फ विथ a calm, composed personality भन्छ नि. Yet you have this strong focus at your work. त्यो एउटा पर्सनालिटी बिल्डअप गर्न कति इयर्स लाग्यो तपाईँलाई?
Well, यति नै years त मैले भन्न सकिनँ हैन. But then I think I grew up to be myself, true to myself. I mean, I think I've invested many years working on my learning, working on my knowledge. I've learned a lot from my mom. Wow. She's been a big influencer in my life. She's a doctor, so I know, I used to accompany her on medical camps. So a lot of impression from that. And a lot from my grandfather. I mean, he was also a dentist. He used to share a lot of stories. A lot of different things from society and friends. And I think that part has a big impact on you to learn how you are. Of course, you also shape yourself a little bit. You also have your choices on
with your experiences.
Your experiences and what you know, what you don't know, what you'd like to know more. I think those all part have played a big role in my life. And I'm very grateful to many people. Some people I loved, some people who were a bit difficult, some people who carve those knowledge. But I'm a big believer of the fact that no matter who crosses your path, helps you to become a better version of yourself. What you have to know is what is it that you want in your heart, what you are as a person.
Right.
Trueness, I think you shouldn't lose.
Is it possible that हामीले चाहिँ आफ्नो सराउन्डिङबाट हामीले डेली बेसिसमा आफ्नो लाइफमा भेट्ने व्यक्तिहरू देखेर आफ्नो लाइफमा भएको व्यक्तिहरूबाट you pick only the good things? Like, is it possible to do that? Or you get affected with the negative vibes and negative attributes and any negativity?
No, I think that energy is important. I think just like you would like to be more positive and more, nice and well experienced, more knowledgeable, but you also have a lot of negative energy coming around you. My experience is that you just need one or two or three most positive or most encouraging and most loving people in your life, and that makes a whole difference. You don't need a cohort and a team of you just need one person who is able to believe in you, who is able to tell you it is better, or who is able to say you have to learn more or you can do better, to have that confidence in you, and things change. Okay? You also become a person who is able to actually take those positive things in your life and know that, no, this is not necessary. I don't want to invest my energy on that, but I take things more positively in my life. Maybe after personal experience, there's been a lot of ups and downs. But for me, I mean, I'm now old enough, I think, to be grateful for what I had. Because I think if I had just the best and just the nicest things in life, I would not be what I am today. The fact that there were also not so comfortable things, not so happy things, also made me realize the value of being happy, the value of, good things, the value of honesty, the value of integrity. So it comes in a mix and a match. And you come as a package, you have your own baggage.
Right.
And I think you shouldn't deny yourself as a person. But having said that, you're also not somebody where the world revolves around you. There are billions of people who are different. You need to be able to say, what is it that you want in your heart? And you should be able to take lead and follow cues from things that are more positive, that are better for you as a human being and as an individual, as a professional, as a young person, as an old person. And it just changes. I think you are able to do that as an individual.
Right. You've talked about your inspiration coming from your own family and a grandfather and your mother yourself. Talking about right now, at the moment in your life, who is the source, or who are the sources of strength for you?
My mom continues to be my strength. I mean, she's amazing. She's a retired medical person, but she is also the go-to person. You can chat about anything with her. You can tell her things, and she's great. But I also found a great friend in my husband, and I'm very grateful for that. I think the partnership we've built for many years now is based on a relationship of trust and relationship of loving each other, being there for one another. And I think that is really critical. I always like to say a marriage is never 50-50. It's always 100-100. You have to give your 100 and the other also has to give 100.
So many versions. Like, of course, we've heard 50-50. Some versions like 80, and the other one will be 20, fulfilling the 20. And today you're presenting 100-100. Individually, you got to be 100-100.
Yeah, but then you're also not able to be 100, right? At some point of life, I'm only 40 or 60 or 30. And this is when you need your partner the most, or people who love you the most, right? I think sometimes I wouldn't say you were so great and you're complete that you're always 100% every time. But in a marriage, you have to try to give 100. I mean, you have to look into a relationship as something you want to nurture and build and make better, right? I mean, I can understand it might be a bit philosophical because not every marriages work that way.
Right.
Not every relationship is easy. It can be a battle for many. It can be a hard relationship for many. And I wouldn't disagree to that.
Yeah.
But when you can make it work, it has to be a partnership. It cannot be one person putting everything to it and the other person not doing anything.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Today, I think, of course, you are the National Director of Habitat of Nepal. Your development sector ma एउटा reputed organization छ त्यसको चाहिँ तपाईँ head हुनुहुन्छ lead गराउनु भएको छ त्यो sector त्यो position त्यो life of course we'll touch upon that but what does it take to be that person as an individual? I would like to know and learn from you. Okay, today it's more like the young dynamic personality that you have, the energy that you have. I found from this initial conversation you're so built up strong and dynamic from your family background. See, तपाईँले मम्मीसँग कस्तो मजाले कुरा गर्छु अहिलेसम्म पनि कुरा गर्नुहुन्छ भन्नुभयो समटाइम्स लाइक घरमै पनि प्यारेन्ट्स मम्मीसँग अथवा आफ्नो परिवारसँग ओपनली कुराकानी गर्न पनि कति गाह्रो हुँदो रहेछ क्या आफूलाई कन्डक्ट गर्न मम्मीले यो सोध्यो भने फेरि मलाई यस्तो भन्ने होला जज गर्ने होला मैले के सङ्गत गरेँ नराम्रो म के गर्नेवाला छु यस्तो खालको फियर अथवा जजमेन्ट त्यो कम्फर्टनेस बिल्ड त्यति स्ट्रङली भएको छैन हाम्रो सोसाइटीमा हाम्रो फ्यामिलीहरूमा
If I look back into when I was young, I grew up to be a young manche, and I was also there once upon a time where I had my ideas where it wouldn't really resonate with my mom or with my parents, and it would not go according to what societal norms and values are. I think it will be a struggle always because, you have a distinct differences in the generation. You can never expect a 10-year-old to think like a 50-year-old. You can never expect a 15-year-old to be mature and make decisions like you would do in 30 or 35. You should never underestimate the power of a 15-year-old or a 10-year-old when that person is there. Okay, I think our society has to learn not to give wrong examples. मलाई कस्तो फिल हुन्छ भने when we were growing up, we were also in a society where everybody wanted to be a doctor or an engineer, and that was the only profession. होइन डक्टरै बन्नुपर्छ इन्जिनियर फलानाको छोरा त डक्टर बन्यो फलानाको छोरा and I think that doesn't necessarily create good energy. You need to understand your children and young people. कसरी हो you need to invest on their understanding of life. You need to make them understand that life goes beyond ha ha he he. It will be difficult, but where you are right now, where you're enjoying your 10-year-old, life doesn't have to be serious. You enjoy and you take the baby steps and get there, right? मलाई कस्तो feel हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि everybody has their struggle, Mandira, and I had my own struggle, and not that it was really built on bed of roses. It was difficult as well. But only when I'm an adult and I have two girls of my own, I also have to remind myself that being a 17-year-old is different from being a 46-year-old. मेरो आफ्नो स्ट्रगल मैले बिर्सँदो रहेछु कि and I feel like मैले यस्तो सोच्छु तिमी किन यस्तो सोच्दैन but you can't put that on a young person. On a positive side of it, what you could have done is you can look at your own examples and you understand and you empathize कि these are the stages of life. What can you do for them to come up and speak up to you? You become friends to them. अब कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि when it is a chaos in your home and it is a war zone, when you have to always explain मैले यस्तो भएर यस्तो सोचेर यस्तो गरेर यस्तो गरेको, it doesn't become a happy place anymore. So मैले के देखेँ कहिले के पनि देख्छु भन्दाखेरि some children, they tend to get away from parents. And the usual thing is ठुलो भएपछि यस्तै त हो नि, young भएपछि यस्तै त हो नि, you have your own idea. तिमीले यसो जानेको त कसैले पनि छैन नि.
You have new wings.
Yeah, you
and
have
you
your
want
wings.
to.
And मलाई त्यो भन्न पनि जरुरी छैन जस्तो लाग्छ. Of course they will know more than you do. I tell my daughters very proudly, of course you know technology better than I do. किनभने I didn't grow
No
up with
doubt.
a phone on my hand. होइन, मैले त बुस्टर चलाएर एन्टेना चलाएर आएको एजबाट ब्ल्याक एन्ड व्हाइट टिभी हेरेर
Yeah.
आएको एज. For them it's different नि. Access is different. Okay? त्यसैले don't tell them by saying मैले त यस्तो गरेको थिएँ तिमीले यस्तो गरेन. Tell them by saying you have these facilities and entitlements and provisions in life. How do you make the best use of it? How do you
Yeah.
not take advantage of it? How do you make sure that life is more beyond the Instagram chat or the Instagram reel? You have to spend your time
Yeah.
on where it is required. But don't do it in a way which works negatively for them. Okay? Young मान्छेहरूलाई, they have a lot of pressure, right? Especially if you came from a very successful family that everybody will look at you. तिम्रो dadले यस्तो गरेछ, momले यस्तो गरेछ, दाजुले यस्तो गरेछ, होइन? It's a lot
It's
of
like
pressure,
a
नि?
indirect pressure, or like, to make them, they would feel intimidating that, oh, all my family members are so and so, so I've got to do something applaudable अथवा हुन्छ नि एउटा remarkable काम चाहिँ म हुनै पर्छ, गर्नै पर्छ भन्ने खालको एउटा unconscious pressure पनि हुने हो कि. But then again, I'd like to come back to your family. You just mentioned about your daughters. Take me to your family a little bit. Are you friends with your daughters? Are you like the mother with your daughters? How do you conduct yourself at your home?
So I'd like to say I am a friend to my daughters, but I also have to pull off my mom attitude at one point of time, especially when they were, I also learned about this thing that at certain age you need to be really mom, and after a while you become friends, and after a while you become really best friends and things. So I think 80% of the time I'm pretty good friends. But 20% of the time I'll also have to say, see, I'm your mom and I know how things work around here, and you might like to do this or do that. Or to strictly say, no, the things don't work like this. I'm sorry, right? But I also have to tell myself and remind myself as an adult, you're an adult, so you also have to behave like an adult. You cannot be sitting down and having tantrum throw at your 10-year-old or 20-year-old. You have to sit down and you have to logically also take them through, okay, this is what it is. Maybe I'm too stressed and I don't want to talk about it, or I'll come back to this discussion in a while, or you can't do this. We just stop this discussion, So you cannot be, I wouldn't say you can be friends all the time, because you will have differences. I mean, I live with my 19-year-old and a 15-year-old, 14-year-old, I would say, and they're very different. Sometimes I'm like, did you get this attitude from me when I was like 15 or 19? I would also ask that myself.
We would have this family conversation, like when kids do a certain behavior, a certain attitude, and then we say like, oh, you picked it up from your dad, you picked it up from your mom. Like, you would have that conversation also probably at your home. Which attributes you think your girls got from you, and which attributes from
Well, I can say nice things
father.
about myself, right? But my husband says, but my husband says both our girls got the Maya Gurney attitude from me. So both of them are very Mayalu. They're very caring, especially my older one. She's 19 and she's very caring, and she likes to do things. And my husband says she reminds her of me. It's a good thing about it. But at also times of our life, for instance, I have an incident to share with you. When they were growing up, you as a working mom, and you're just with your husband, and there's a nanny to help you. You're also in the chaos of work and family and everything. You also tend to sometimes lose your sanity, right?
Yeah.
And I would shout at the top of the voice, and my daughter would shout higher than that voice, and then I shout higher than the voice. And my husband, he gave me an example of how, because I already raised my voice, everybody else has to also raise the voice. And that was quite a good feedback, because when I had a sore throat and I couldn't speak, the house was absolutely quiet, because my voice was actually very, very low, you know. So it's also a reminder of what you are doing is also a bit of a reaction from your children, because no matter what, they are your children, Mandira. I mean, they will always be, what, I think 15, 20, let's say 25 years younger than you are. And for somebody who is so young than you are, you can't expect the same level of maturity and understanding. Maybe she brings a diverse layer of understanding, maybe a more energetic layer of understanding. But you will not understand that always. And I'm not saying I'm
Yeah.
a perfect mom who understands it, but I have learned in the process to
Right.
how to navigate the relationship better, how to talk about with the things better. And my husband and I am always talking about how can we make these conversations easier with the girls. So this type of engagement is also very, very crucial in there for
Right.
me. Yeah.
So, which part the girls like about you the most when you are guiding as a mother, when you are there to support as a mother, or when you are there to understand them as a friend? Like, how do they receive you? Like,
Well, I will never be able to compete with their friends. I mean, their friends are always special, and I told them I will never replace them. But I think the fact that they can come to me running when they have a problem, without being judged, or they can talk about very private things in their life. I'm also not somebody, or my husband also doesn't do that, to pry into their private things. If they say this is private, this is private. But at some point of time, I'll also have to tell them what is private and what cannot be private and what
yeah,
can be private, right? I mean, one of the things is to really protect them from the cyber issues that we have in
yeah,
this very developed world. You have everywhere child abuse, or you have bad things on pedophiles and all things like that, and you have to really protect them from that, and you have to make them aware of what cybercrime could lead to in terms of well-being, in terms of their physical and mental well-being. So these are some of the things you can always say. So I need to know who their friend circle are, what they are
yeah.
doing, if it is safe enough, and my husband does the same. But we need to know what's going on. But we don't need to know the details of maybe what they chit-chatted or what they did do with their
Of course.
friend, or if one of their friends had a breakup, and to go into
Yeah.
that depth. That is not necessary. As long as I know where you are. We have very fixed home times, mother. So I think my daughter thinks I'm a bit conservative in that,
Okay.
somebody who would not allow her to party late night or something.
Right.
I give her a certain amount of flexibility, but not always. And it really comes from a mom's heart. It's also not about to establish power, but really to tell them, why does it matter to me? Why does your safety matter to me? And how lenient I can be.
Right.
Sometimes they will play on that, but
Yeah. I don't know, pardon me if I should mention this or not, but I am asking you anyways. Like, for your husband, what is it like at home? You are a female, your daughter is female. You just mentioned you have your pets, and all of them are female also.
yeah.
Yeah, what is it to be surrounded by females for a single man at home?
Well, he feels very proud. He
What is he?
says, no, he always says, I feel like a pampered king with all the queens around me. Everybody is so loving and things. And I think he's very generous in the sense that he's never intimidated by the energy. I think he's somebody who feels very good about the energy. He loves it. I mean, he thoroughly enjoys. For him, it's still like, oh, why did they grow up so fast? The
Oh.
girls. It should have been so much fun if they were smaller and we could do
Isn't
this.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah, my
he really
husband
loves
tells the
it.
same. Like,
Yeah,
kids when they are starting to become toddler, like 3 years and above, and few years
yeah,
around that time, is the best time to enjoy the time with the kids, to
yeah.
learn from them also, and to see them growing. Sometimes you just feel like time could just stop at that moment, and you can just enjoy that forever.
Yeah, absolutely. He feels the same. But for him, it's also he has two brothers, so he basically grew up without any sisters. So he feels like he can learn so much more about women in general, and to be a part of their development also through his girls, and he's a great partner. I mean,
मलाई
very
चाहिँ के
investing
लाग्छ भने
partner.
होइन वुमेनलाई जेनरली पोर्ट्रे गर्ने बेलामा घरमा घरको सराउन्डिङमा त्यो सिनारियोमा चाहिँ वुमेनहरू क्राङ्की हुन्छ वुमेनहरू अलिक धेरै करारा हुन्छ समटाइम्स फर नो रिजन त्यो चाहिँ मलाई मिथ हो जस्तो लाग्छ होइन वाट डज योर हस्बेन्ड हेज टु से अबाउट द्याट बिङ सराउन्डेड बाई गर्ल्स अगेन
Well, त्यस्तो त हामी कहाँ हुँदैन, because
है
he's already always surrounded by girls
या
forever, and
या
and he finds home is his happy place basically. He's like जहाँ गए पनि, it's when he comes home, it's always like it's my place खालको, and he loves to be around us. Of course, अलिकति बढी कराउँछ when you have a जिम्मेवारी, right? When you're doing something and kids are not
Yeah.
listening to you, तपाईँ कराइहाल्छ नि त. But then I've also realized with my husband, we've been married for many, many years now. but then you become partners, okay? So you become together, party hundo rahecha. So if girls are loud and they're like jhada garna aayo, you also have a supporter, ni?
The good
And
cop
that
and the
helps.
bad cop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're always playing that part, so it
Right.
helps a little bit. Yeah.
Let's just talk a little bit about partnership again. होइन हजुरको हस्बेन्ड र यहाँको पार्टनरसिपको लङ जर्नी भइसकेको छ होइन सो यु अल्सो मेन्सन द्याट युर हस्बेन्ड इज सो इन्भेस्टेड इन यु हाउ इम्पोर्टेन्ट इज इट लाइक टु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड एन्ड टु नो द अदर पर्सन एन्ड एक्ज्याक्टली द स्टेट अफ द्याट पर्सन लाइक हाउ ही इज
I
हाउ
think
सी
it's
इज
immensely important, Mandir, especially if you are pursuing a career or if you're a career woman, professional woman. I think that's a big role to
Yeah.
play. Okay? It's not just about, a lot of people say, oh, such a open-minded husband, he lets his wife work, or, she gets to travel. And it's about mental and, the way he supports you when you're growing in your career or when you're not making advancements in your career, to be invested in your interest and ideas and to believe in them. It's not just about giving
to
an
believe in
advice,
that.
right?
Yeah.
To also say, whatever you do, I think you'll do great. To have that kind of a courage to tell you, even when you're not doing 100%, you'll be able to come out of it. And that's exactly, where I am in terms of my career. I owe big time to my husband, because he's been it's so nice to have an intelligent and intellectual partner who can also tell you, oh, tell me how it's going on. So you're not happy about this. So how can we? What can we do? And I can tell him things. He can advise me on things. He can share his stories. I can share his stories, and we're always discussing about tons and tons of things, our
Yeah.
girls and our home and our career. But you can discuss absolutely anything without a feeling of, oh, यो भन्यो भने त maybe he will not be happy, अथवा
Exactly.
यस्तो भन्यो भने त मलाई judge गर्नुहुन्छ होला, के सोच्नुहुन्छ होला. You don't have to think that. For me, a home should be a place free of any kind of judgment.
That is really something, when you don't have to think
Yeah.
about what he's going to think. But
Yeah.
sometimes what your weakness is, well, sometimes it's like speaking about me now. You think a lot about what the other person is going to think about
Yeah.
you and your actions and whatever you're going to say. So maybe it's also like a lot of your individual weaknesses also, where you need to invest in yourself first and then, come up with your weaknesses, like, hey, this is what I couldn't do and I need your help. A lot of times I feel like this is what we lack in relationship. I think in our context, हामी चाहिँ हाम्रो weaknessesहरू चाहिँ लुकाउन खोजिरहेको हुन्छौँ, अथवा we hide behind our weaknesses and we try to bring our pride and अलिकति आफूलाई अलिकति boast गर्न खोजिरहेको हुन्छौँ, and that really backfires the relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, but also, Mandira, just the flip side of what you said, to be aware कि तपाईंको actionले अर्कोलाई कसरी feel गर्छ भन्ने कुरा, that's a good way to also analyze the situation. So not necessarily it bogs you down to, oh, my every action has to be carefully planned, because त्यस्तो त हुँदैन नि त. Some things are impromptu. You're also looking at your ways of life and things. तर to be mindful कि मैले यस्तो भन्दाखेरि maybe it's not the best way to think, is to basically work on yourself. And I wouldn't necessarily say that's bad. होइन? तर to be yourself and to be true to yourself and not to be pretentious of how you are, I think it's critical. Okay? हामीले नेवारहरूले चाहिँ महपूजा गर्छौँ नि होइन. I really like it. किन भन्दाखेरि it's also about celebrating your soul. Okay? Telling really yourself, अरूले मान्छेले थोरै न देख्छ तपाईँको personality. You're the only one who knows how you're inside. होइन? And to be able to say, okay, maybe I've not done a good job, or maybe I can do a better job, is, I think, a very good self-reflection. Okay? अनि मैले सिकेको leadershipमा पनि एउटा सबभन्दा ठुलो कुरा, as a young मान्छे, as an elderly, across the stages of life, is to have this strong sense of self-leadership. Okay? तपाईँले के गर्नुहुन्छ? How do you want to conduct yourself? How do you want to take yourself is your decision. Okay? I am also listening to a lot of podcasts, and it says that तपाईँले आफ्नो brainमा, how do you engage your brain? So if you're telling your brain, I need to do things like this, when basically you make a decision for choices in your life. Okay? No, हामीले हेर्दाखेरि उहाँले भनेर मैले यस्तो गरेँ, उसले भनेर यस्तो गरेँ भन्छ नि. Voila, that has an impact. तर basically you are the one who makes a decision. Okay? Unconsciously, subconsciously, you will tell yourself, okay, this is what I want to do. Right. Sometimes people don't have choices. These are difficult, harder choices in life. Sometimes you make choices that was not there. But actually choose gore bhandema that it's also not that you can't change it, right?
Yeah.
Life is so valuable, Mandira. मैले देखेको that it's so precious. we have to really, it comes with an expiry date.
It does.
And you don't know what happens. So when
And
you make
yeah.
decisions, do it with your heart and think about things how you can make
Yeah.
better. Okay?
And you regret, often, like, speaking about myself, you regret, like, why did I spend so much of time making the other person understand me instead of just being able to keep it there and to give understanding to the other person. Like, a lot of times you have this urge to make your point gets across, like,
Yeah.
I have to make a point. I have to make the other person understand
Yeah.
where I am and what I mean, all that. So यहाँले भन्नुभएको सो लाइफ एउटा एउटा लिमिटेसन बोकेर आउँछ नि त सो त्यसमा यु हेभ टु मेक सो मच आउट अफ इट इजन इट एन्ड टु जस्ट
Yeah.
अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड द एसेन्स अफ इट इज अलरेडी समथिङ
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I wanted to understand when, of course, you are a career woman, and then I heard you had to leave your 6-month-old when you had to make your work travels. I know. Mom guilt, is it real, and how did you go through it?
It is real. Of course, I, as a woman, want to have it all.
Yeah.
Do it all, get it all done perfection.
Yes, I know.
You want to do it to the last bit of the line,
Yeah,
do it
yeah.
perfectly, and be happy about it. Life has also taught me that it's not that way. Sometimes you can have it all, sometimes you don't get it all, and it's okay. अब mom guilt को कुरा गर्दाखेरि कस्तो हुँदो रहेछ of course I think it's also something that doesn't just come out of yourself but also a little bit of a societal खालको कुरा नि कस्तो गएको है यस्तो भन्ने पनि especially when I was the mom of a young child हैन but you also need to have a very supportive family in that case who can come in and chip in हैन मेरो लागि त my husband has been there always to हामी दुईजनाको ट्राभल पनि सँगै गर्दैनौँ थियो क्या हामीले we would calculate on when he would go, when I would go. So I would say I wouldn't go when he is traveling, he wouldn't go when I was traveling. So never with that too. अब कहिले काहीँ भयो भने पनि I have a wonderful nanny with me हैन तर it's also about discussing these things beforehand. Of course mom guilty bhayo pani I don't think it's necessarily bad. That's because you're a human and you want to give the best to your child and you want to be with her. Grow up हुँदाखेरि you want to take into account every stage of development, but that's not possible. You can do so much, and sometimes you have to just say, okay, I let it go and let it take a route, and it's still okay.
To be able to move on from that phase is also something, right? Again, a lot of women get stuck in that phase where they feel bad about something, or they have to leave their child home and then they have to go work or finish or accomplish something, and then through some of the other sources they get feedbacks like ऊ त गएछ उसले त हुन्छ नि छोरीलाई अब एक हप्ता भइसक्यो नभेटेको छोरालाई 1 महिना छोडेर गयो यस्तो यस्तो कतिवटा कुराहरू आइरहेको हुन्छ अनि त्यो सुनेर एउटा जोनमा जाने बित्तिकै त्यो मेन्टल स्टेटबाट बाहिर निस्कनै कस्तो गाह्रो हुने रहेछ कि एन्ड to do some exercise to get out of that is really a struggle for a lot of women, I think.
But you need to do it yourself, Mother.
Of course.
I think there will be people who will tell you good things, they will support you, and at the end of the day you have to stand up for yourself. I know you have to stand up for what is right and what you're doing makes a difference, and you have a sense of purpose, you will get through it, Mother. And I don't think every woman has that struggle. Okay?
In the end, it's about you yourself.
It's about yourself, and working or not working, it's difficult. Women like unpaid care work and they take care of it. It's not really, it's not a part of a economy. It's not monetized. The amount of hours you spend working, not working, investment ko kura hunda. But this is unpaid care. Like it's a lot of discussion around unpaid care. Okay? So even when you're not paid, how much is actually contributing to the economy? So I think not necessarily mo guilt hundaina bhandaina. Of course, there is always the guilt, but it doesn't have to be bad.
Right.
Why not? You're a young mom. You're struggling through your hormonal changes. You just gave birth. Come on. Giving birth is already bringing a new life to this world. It can be hard, but it shouldn't be damaging.
यो सबै कुरा सोचेर अगाडि बढ्नको लागि एउटा स्ट्रङ आफैमा एउटा बिल्डअप गर्नु नै पर्ने रहेछ त्यो हुनै पर्ने रहेछ क्या एन्ड इन द एन्ड आई थिङ्क जति नै सपोर्ट सिस्टम स्ट्रेन्थ फ्यामिली त्यो भने पनि आफमै भित्रैबाट एउटा एनर्जीमा बिलिभ चाहिँ गर्नुपर्ने रहेछ आई थिङ्क द्याट्स व्हाट आई फेल्ट ओभर द इयर्स
That's important.
Let's talk about something fun about your family. इन्डिभिजुअली पनि मैले एउटा सुनेको हजुरको चाहिँ यु अल्सो राइड बाइसिकल टु योर अफिस भनेर
I
होइन
do, I do.
डु यु रियली
I do every day. I mean, as of the Mogorino, because I had my computer, so I had to come with Gadi.
Yeah.
But it's been, I think, 8 years now that I've been commuting every day to work.
Wow.
Toro commute matra gorso. It's about 12 kilometers up and down. So morning might takes me about 22 minutes, and evening might takes about 15 to 16 minutes. That I commute by bicycle every day.
That's so impressive.
Work,
The head of Habitat Nepal commutes every day on her bicycle,
Yeah.
and she makes it to all kinds of workshops, meetings, and places where representing the organization. एउटा फर्स्ट इम्प्रेसनको हिसाबले मान्छेहरूले कसरी तपाईँलाई रिसिभ गर्नुहुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ
Well, I've received a lot of positive feedback.
You're a very common person, you're just like us, like anybody.
Yeah, just like anybody. And but I also think it should not be glorified in the way we do. Maila boira. Especially people are surprised. There are not many female who do it, Nepali females maybe. And batoma ta मैले टोपी र glasses लाउँदाखेरि they also don't know if it's a Nepali or a non-Nepali. You don't recognize it in the first go. There was some surprises. मान्छेहरुमा there are all like Nepali नै रहेछ cycle चलाउँदो रहेछ अनि एकचोटी त एउटा पसलमा I met a small kid and she was like I was buying something. I had my helmet on. That I took off my mask and glasses, and she was looking at me. And मैले के भयो भनेर सोधेँ and the first line she said was, "केटी भएर पनि cycle चलाउने." That was a remark I got. I think that was about 12, 15 years ago. And I shook her hand and I said, तिमीले चाहिँ हेलिकप्टर चलाउनु है मैले साइकल मात्र चलाएन and people started to laugh. But I give this example of how it is associated with being a woman. Okay? Why not? It's not a big deal नि हैन अब काठमाडौँमा साइकल चलाउने त्यत्रो मान्छे छ थुप्रै छ नि त अब कतिले अहिले त झन् अब साइक्लिङ कल्चर भनेरै डेभलप हुँदैछ हैन but it's still looked at as अब Habitatको नेशनल डाइरेक्टर भयो भने गाडीमै मात्र चढ्नुपर्छ भन्ने छैन This is my way of life. Of course मिटिङहरुमा फर्मल लुगा लगाएर जाँदाखेरि I will take a गाडी and I would take my work vehicle. तर morning or evening when I commute with bicycle, it's my way of life. I love it. It also gives me a sense of how life is, precious. बाटोमा त I see डर लाग्दो traffic. I see people who are on their motorbikes, on गाडीमा एकदमै driving very, very bad.
Reckless
driving. And I also look at them and like, कस्तो माया नलागेको आफ्नो जिउज्यानको हुन्छ नि. Because when you're on a bicycle, you actually see all this. Okay? मलाई त जति हतार भए पनि, in my speed, I will need 20 minutes. त्योभन्दा बढी त स्पिडमा म जानै सक्दिनँ हैन. So I know that if I need to get somewhere 7:30 or I need to come to the office 8 o'clock, I better get out at 7:30. That's my discipline नि त. And I am a very firm believer of that. And discipline mandira, it really starts with yourself. मैले एउटा धेरै अगाडि एउटा podcast हेरेको थिएँ and it said if you want to change the world you have to start by making your bed. Because हामी outsideमा धेरै कुराहरू गर्छौँ in your zone of influence you talk about यस्तो हुनुपर्ने त्यस्तो हुनुपर्ने यस्तो नभएर त उस्तो भएको भन्छौँ तर you don't focus on what is your responsibility as an individual, as a professional, as a human being. त्यसमा फोकस गर्नु पर्यो नि त and then things will change. अब मैले bicycle चलाएँ भन्दैमा not that एकदम पुरा carbon neutral हुने त होइन but that's part of my thing. I like for my health.
We should be just able to receive it as it is हैन until I asked you, until the moment अहिले एकैछिन अगाडि मैले क्वेसन सोद्धाखेरिसम्म पनि मेरो दिमागमा के थिएन भन्दाखेरि that you are a female and that you are a head of certain organization or that you are a Nepali, not non-Nepali, foreigner होइन यो सबै कुरा मेरो दिमागमा थिएन कि I just asked you that you drive you ride your bicycle to your office भनेर तर हाम्रो कन्टेक्स्टमा नेपालीहरूलाई भनौँ न अहिले हाम्रो अडियन्स मेजोरिटी नेपाली नै हुनुहुन्छ हैन म चाहिँ के सोध्नु मन लाग्यो भने मान्छेलाई जे भए पनि कुरै काट्नुपर्ने हो कि कम्प्लेनै गर्नुपर्ने हो कि हैन अर्को कन्टेक्स्टमा त फेरि साइकल राइड गरेर जानुहुन्छ भनेर प्रेज पनि गर्नुहुन्छ हैन तर अर्को कन्टेक्स्टमा फेरि साइकल चढेर के इम्प्रेसन दिन खोजेको होला अथवा हुन्छ नि जे भए पनि मान्छेलाई चाहिँ कुरै काट्नुपर्ने जस्तो कि लाइक महिला भएर पनि केटी भएर पनि साइकल चढाएको भनेर कि
अब यसो छ भनेर मेरो चाहिँ I actually don't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
That helps me. होइन अब मैले काठमाडौँमा 2008 मा चाहिँ when we had a fuel crisis, remember 2008 मा we had a fuel crisis. That's how I started. होइन it started out of a necessity. के I also don't take pride in the fact कि म त एकदम environment friendly भएर चलाएको पनि I'm an environment student. तर if somebody will ask me did you cycle because you're environment conscious, then I would a little bit hesitate. When that was not the reason.
Right.
I started basically out of a necessity.
Exactly.
होइन
It is what it
किनभने
is.
अब बाइकमा फ्युल नभएपछि so you had to do something. And I remember my husband bought me a bike होइन अनि I was so angry because he bought a very expensive bike के किनभने he bought an aluminium frame को bike. It would be easier for me gearहरू भएको होइन because he knew I would have to cycle uphill होइन तर I was like यस्तो महँगो बाइक ल्याउने नै होइन नि I could have done with सस्तो बाइक होइन but he's like तिमी चलाएर हेर न he didn't say anything as nice as he is, he didn't say anything तर
You
अब
know it as you ride.
yeah as I rode it and he's like he used to pull my leg अनि अलि सस्तो बाइक ल्यायो भने अलि सजिलो हुन्थ्यो होला because it's
Pulling your
naturally
leg down.
heavier
Yeah.
naturally heavier तर अब I have this bike for 8 years now होइन continuously on the same bike been a great ride तर अब अहिले मलाई कस्तो feel हुन्छ भने it's also good for my own psyche पनि किनभने you have this adrenaline rush and you feel good about cycling अनि अब especially काठमाडौँको त म भन्दिनँ पाटनको roads are very safe मैले feel गरेको because my office is also in Patan so it's safer cycling lane पनि छ and I love cycling होइन I meet sometimes regular cyclists एक दुईजना but not that many but
I think it
makes
also
me
gives
happy.
you
Yeah.
individual or a certain energy जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई.
Yeah.
When you cycle, when you are putting some energy to paddle and reach somewhere as your destination, I think you go through a personal journey like एउटा freshness, एउटा goal set गरेको छ, you want to achieve something, एउटा different energy दिन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ कि and when you're starting your day like that, I'm sure it definitely kicks that energy for you already.
No, it does. अनि कस्तो हुन्छ भने म घरबाट आउँदाखेरि there is uphill अनि it's always hard
त्यो उकालो चढ्दाखेरि तपाईँलाई कस्तो मैले के अचिभ गरेँ जस्तो लाग्दैन
पहिला त हुन्थ्यो अहिले त अलिक हुँदैन because I've done it for many years होइन तर कस्तो हुन्छ भने even when I've done it every day for 8 years at least 5 working days त म गर्छु weekendमा म चलाउँदिनँ होइन सामान किन्नलाई चलाउँदिनँ but it's just my commuting 8 वर्ष गरिसकेपछि that hill is still difficult के I cannot say कि I did it एकदम गरेँ अब मान्छेलाई छ नि अगाडि टेम्पो भयो भने sometimes I have to really एकदमै छिटो paddle गर्नुपर्छ because if I stop then I have to get down so if you want to keep on continuously go you have to keep on cycling okay? Then it doesn't get easy and this was one of the things I also said okay? Life पनि त्यस्तै हो okay? You can be blessed with many things. You have to count on your blessings and continuously move forward. Okay? It cannot be that you sit down and have a grudge and be unhappy about it. हुनु त कति पर्छ छ मान्छेलाई हैन असीमित इच्छा भन्छ नि मान्छेको but then you have to continuously keep on cycling, keep on going forward one by one अनि I think you are in no competition with anyone के I think हाम्रो सोसाइटीमा पहिला मैले भनेको थिएँ नि के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि there is so much comparison के यो भन्दा यो better एउटै उमेरको मान्छेले गाडी किनिसक्यो घर बनाइसक्यो तिमीले के गर्यो यस्तो गर्यो especially for young people when you're on your early stages of a career हैन त्यो जहिले पनि के pressure हुन्छ भने you're always there to prove yourself के it should not be like that you are in competition with yourself 5 days ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That should be the case. Okay? It should not be about looking at somebody else. मेरो पनि साथीहरू छ हार्वर्डमा पढेको साथीहरू छ they're great doctors, economistहरू छ. They're doing great, but not necessarily because they're doing great, I should be unhappy. I should be proud of what they have achieved. But I'm also doing what I can do from my end, right?
Yeah.
As an achiever पनि. And I think a lot of young people हामीले अघि कन्भर्सेसन गर्दाखेरि पनि when you're straight out of college you want to buy a bike you want to buy a गाडी and you want to do it all at the expense of growing up and being independent तर being independent is really about in your mindset where you can make decisions when you start earning when you have financial independence त्यो हो के real independence it's not just about going on the best bike or गाडीमा गयो going on the best restaurant त्यो त आफ्नो पेरेन्ट्सको पैसाले जहिले पनि गर्न सक्छ नि you have to do it with your own money म मेरो छोरीलाई पनि त्यसै भन्छु you can go to the best restaurant in Nepal doesn't matter as long as I can afford it and as long I agree to give you the money right but what is more important is were you able to do it with your own money what did you do to do that did you understand that earning money requires mehnat right? It requires a hard work. Ni?
Yeah.
People will not just give you 100 rupiah. Even when you look at 100 rupiah कसरी कमाउने, it's not like you can do it in many
I
ways,
still
of
say,
course.
I still tell when we were building up our small house, 100 रुपियाँ पनि 100 रुपियाँ हो भन्छु कि म त्यो पैसाको कुरा गर्दाखेरि होइन 1000 रुपियाँ पनि लिने बेलामा अथवा कसैले दिदियोस् भन्ने हिसाबमा चाहिँ 1000 भयो भने त मलाई हुन्छ नि अलिकति राम्रो हेल्प हुन्थ्यो यस्तो एक्सपेक्ट गर्ने तर मलाई चाहिँ आई थिङ्क वेन सम वान हेज टु अर्न वेन सम वान हेज टु ब्रिङ इट इन 100 rupees is also a lot, like, त्यस्तो bargain त गर्दैन होला, but still I value that 50 rupees, 100 rupees भन्ने कि because I know the struggle, I come from a certain experience and background होला. Talking about yourself, when, like, your younger days, you went to university in Germany when you were 17, you said, right?
Yeah.
So त्यति बेलाको त्यो individual, young, strong Eliza ले कसरी हुन्छ नि फेस गर्यो त्यो फेजलाई चाहिँ फेस गर्न अनि त्यसलाई क्यारी अन गर्नलाई?
So when I was 17, I went actually as an exchange student in Germany. And so it was my first time actually traveling out of my home, traveling on my own, going to the airplane on my own. And we had Royal Nepal Airlines. I remember that it flew to Europe. So going there, it was not a problem. I got there and I was an exchange student for 3 months and I had some exchanges, very different kind of student, very different kind of culture in Germany. I learned a lot just being there, just by making friends. तर 3 महिनापछि when I came back, I was still the same young मान्छे नि. I remember मेरो चाहिँ फ्लाइट्सहरू छुट्यो, there were many delays and I had to be at the airport. अनि मेरो ब्यागहरू पनि सबै हरायो होइन. So the silver lining in it is that मेरो first experience it was a very difficult experience of traveling. But then it makes you a bit of a travel pro next time. But you have to look at the brighter side of it. If you continuously dwell on मलाई यस्तो गाह्रो भयो यस्तो भयो यस्तो भयो, then there's where your energy gets to. Okay? So मैले भनेको, when life gives you lemon, make lemonade once. And I believe in that. Okay? When there's a situation that's not very nice for you and for yourself, think about what is the silver lining in it. You must have learned something, or something bitter must have come out of it. You make a decision out of it. You make a better decision out of it. So that is necessary. Okay? म पढ्नै जाँदाखेरि पनि as a young person, I made many decisions that has helped me where I am. Not every decision was right? But then even with the wrong decision, you have to be able to own it. Okay? The discipline of owning yourself, owning up to the actions that you have taken is critical. Okay? You cannot suddenly say, "You मान्छेले गरेर यस्तो भएको, त्यो मान्छेले यस्तो गरेर भएको," होइन? You can take tons of advice from everybody, but you're the one who makes decision and takes the path forward. Of course, in our society, you also have parents making decisions for their children, rightly so, very young. पढाउनु पठाए सबै गर्यो होइन. तर त्यो फेजमा पनि त you are making a decision, right? गाह्रो भयो भने everybody says मैले गरेर गएँ, यो उसले गरेर भएको भने accountability हुँदैन कि. And I think the accountability is so key. To be able to say, I have made a choice. Let me see. If it doesn't work, I still made the choice, but it didn't work, owing up to the results of the action. And I have done the same. I mean, also throughout my career as a young student and then a young professional, then growing up a little bit and getting a little bit older, I have learned that you have to be accountable. You have to be disciplined enough to say, where do you want to go from here? To chart out that. Many a times there's so many problems and issues around us that we get consumed by them. Don't be consumed by them. Look into where you want to get to. Of course, you didn't come with a guarantee कि तपाईले चाहिँ 2 दिनमा यस्तो गर्छ, 4 वर्षमा यस्तो गर्छ, 10 वर्षमा त म यस्तै हुन्छु भनेर. You can't have a guarantee. You just go step by step, bit by bit.
Are you happy of the choices and the decision that you made that time? हुन्छ नि तपाईको स्टडी सकाएर अब तपाईँ नेपाल फर्कनुहुन्छ अनि यहीँ काम गर्छु, कोही त अब बाहिर पढेपछि डिग्री फिनिश गरेपछि वर्क एक्सपिरियन्स भनेर बस्नुहुन्छ होला, एन्ड देन सो एन्ड सो रिजन भनेर बस्नुहुन्छ होला, एक्सटेन्ड गरी आउनुहुन्छ होला भिजिट गर्न, फेरि तर बाहिर नै जाने, त्यहीँको इन्भाइरोमेन्ट कल्चर अलिकति आफू पनि वेस्टर्नाइज अथवा युरोपियन कन्ट्रीमा बसेपछि त्यहीँको रहनसहन अथवा एभ्रिडे लाइफ पनि एउटा इजी हुने हिसाबले पनि होला होइन. सो त्यहाँ बस्नु रुचाउनुहुन्छ होला मेजोरिटी अफ पिपल, तर यु डिसाइडेड टु कम ब्याक एन्ड वर्क एन्ड फाइन्ड यर पाथ हियर. how fulfilled are you and happy are you?
I'm very happy, Mandira. But of course, the happiness is also when I talk to people. The happiness is also connected to the family
Yeah.
settled bhaisakyo. You know, you have a job and you have everything. The reported I go and you have everything you
तर
need.
त्यो overnight भएको त
Yeah,
definitely
absolutely.
होइन नि.
So, मैले भनेको, everybody is charting out that path. Ni, you don't get it overnight, and it should also not come to you overnight. Overnight success is never good for you. Okay?
Yeah.
You have to do a little bit of your struggle. You have to go overboard. You have to, you have to reorganize your thoughts. You have to understand yourself better. Mira, where's my heart taking me to? You know, sometimes you make choice about, I don't know if I will be good at it. But you start nevertheless. Then in the process, you discover what is good for you, Nida. And that's the same journey for me. Okay? So, I'm not trained, but I'm educated as an environmentalist, right? And I started my work as a volunteer many years back. I was a city volunteer at Kathmandu Metropolitan City.
Wow.
त्यतिखेर मेरो mentor हुनुहुन्थ्यो. I'm sure you know Bhushan Tuladar, right? He was one of my first mentors. He's one of the first people I actually worked with. Very inspiring.
के गर्नुहुन्थ्यो city volunteer मा?
So we went to places and water samples. Because I was an environment student, water samples collect गर्ने. You test the water samples for
धारा,
coliform,
पन्ध्रबाट.
धाराहरूबाट.
Okay,
You go
इनारहरू.
to schools to raise awareness on environment, on climate change, for instance. And as a part of that, I was also I can safely say an RJ, but I was doing more environmental news reader ko kaam, and everything was done as a volunteer. It came purely out of passion. Okay? It was also not about म पैसै कमाउँछु भोलि गएर पैसै कमाएर एकदमै यस्तै गर्छु भन्ने त थिएन मलाई. But I was like really learning and learning and learning. So opportunities पनि आयो. I got to meet with a lot of people who knew tons of knowledge around environment. After my work with World Wildlife Fund, that was about 6 years. That is where I found my passion in project designing.
Okay.
That was very different from what I was doing earlier as a volunteer or somebody who was implementing programs.
Yeah.
I found my passion in designing programs, and that's where I became more a project designer. So that is the path that led me to my further career. That's also the interest I found. I didn't know I was good at it.
Yeah.
But I got better at it. My first proposal was not the best, but my 100th proposal was something I could be proud of. And I spent over 18 years doing that.
Right.
So, and that path has actually led me to where I am today at
So you
Habitat,
see, you took your time, you put your energy, you put your heart in it, and एउटा certain time, years त्यसमा spend भयो. Do you think like young people लाई अहिले त्यति patience छ कुन क्षेत्रमा मन परिरहेछ कुन क्षेत्रमा आफू राम्रो गर्न सक्छु त्यो पेशेन्स एन्ड त्यो एनर्जी राख्ने टाइम अहिलेको यङ जेनेरेसनमा छ कि छैन
छ अनि nurture पनि गर्नुपर्छ a little bit, because I also feel like social media, internet, everything looks so dreamy and everything looks possible. Manchile mathi त्यो they only see the tip of the iceberg. They don't see how much work you have to put underneath. And young manchile पनि त्यो अब you start a business, it's not successful, fine. You try and do it better नि त. अब technical field मा पनि त you need to get better at what you do. मलाई कस्तो लाग्छ भने you are not there yet. You have your better moments coming up, and you have to continuously put the best effort in you. मलाई अलिकति चाहिँ कहिलेकाहीँ खड्किने कुरा चाहिँ के हो भन्दाखेरि I look at young people and they think मलाई सबै आउँछ, मलाई I'm really great at it. But you're never great at it.
Exactly.
You can't stop your learning curve at all. You have to continuously excel and work on a better version of yourself. At some point you will know more, but I imagine how much there is. We just know the tiny dot in the universe.
हामीले अघि नै अलिकति वर्क कल्चरको पनि कुरा गरिरहेको थियौँ हैन नेपालमा अनि नेपालीहरूको बानीको बारे पनि कुरा गरिरहेको थियौँ हैन सो त्यो आफूमा इन्भेस्ट गर्ने आफूमा आफ्नो स्किल्स एनहान्स गर्ने मलाई यो भन्दा अरु के आउँछ त यो भन्दा बढी अरु के आउँछ अथवा यो भन्दा बढी गर्नको लागि के सिक्ने कहाँ जाने भन्ने कुराहरू आई थिंक त्यति प्रोएक्टिभली हामी गरेर हुँदैनौं कि
अब यसो छ म
यहाँले पनि एक्सपीरियन्स गर्नु भएको थियो
अब not to generalize Nepal. I really don't like it when we generalize Nepali. Sometimes people say Nepali time mein aunदैन, and I say I'm a Nepali and I'm very disciplined with time. Sorry, don't say Nepali. let's not generalize it, right? So we're all very different. Even in if you look into sector like electrician ko काम भनौँ हैन, you see तपाईको घरमै बनाउन आउनुहुन्छ नि, plumbing को काम भनौँ हैन, furniture बनाउने काम भनौँ, अब उहाँहरू मैले धेरै यङ मान्छे देख्छु हैन, तर इट्स नट अबाउट स्किल इन द इन्डस्ट्री के, इट्स अबाउट गेटिङ जब डन. अनि तपाईँले अलिक क्वेसन कसले गर्यो भने पनि यो यस्तै हो, यु नो सरी यो यस्तै हो भनेर भन्यो, एन्ड यु जस्ट टेक इट द्याट वे के. युआर नट टेकिङ मोर स्टेप्स टु मेक युर सेल्फ बेटर के होइन. अब I get that political situation is hard hola, maybe not everything is enabling hola हैन, तर also to look at yourself and to see कि म यसमा better कसरी हुने. You know, I had an encounter, मैले यहाँलाई अघि भने, an encounter with this young electrician guy. He was maybe in his 20s. अनि जे सोधे पनि यस्तै हो तपाईँलाई थाहा छैन भन्छ हैन. अनि I'm like, so भन्नुस् न त, you know, tell me. तर he knows पेज खोल्न आउँछ, एन्ड द्याट इज हि इज ह्याप्पी अबाउट इट के. बाइक एउटा चढ्न पाएछ, पेज खोल्न पाएछ. इज द्याट वेयर यु वान्ट टु बी? नो, यु वान्ट टु बी बेटर एट इट नि. मेबी टुमोरो यु वान्ट टु हेभ अ टेक्निसियनको पसलै एउटा खोल्ने हो कि, यु नो. यु हेभ टु रियली ड्रिम बिगर. अब गाह्रो छ, म भन्दिनँ कि एभ्रिबडी इज वेटिङ फर यु टु गिभ एन अपर्च्युनिटी. नो, छैन. यु हेभ टु कार्भ यर पाथ. तर why don't you invest on yourself fully to get better at it के. जे गरे पनि मेरो बच्चाहरूलाई पनि म के भन्छु भन्दाखेरि, there is no industry that is good or bad. Even if you are a teacher, even if you are a medical doctor, if you are a business person, if you are a writer, if you're a singer, if you're a dancer, if you're a model, you have to get better at it के. You will not get better at it unless you work hard नि. तपाईँले लुगा सिलाउन जाने भन्दैमा म एकदम ग्रेट फेसन डिजाइनर भन्छ र भन्दैन नि. You have to study it, you have to get better at it. अनि so मलाई के लाग्छ भने young मान्छेहरूलाई चाहिँ, because they come with energy that is very productive, जे पनि गर्न सक्छु, but it also drives them down because तुरुन्तै भएन नि त. यो अलिक छिटो छिटो फटाफट भए सजिलो हुन्छ. You know, you need more shortcuts. They want the fast result. Yeah, results fast, which is also our thinking. तर सधैँ त्यस्तो हुँदैन नि. It doesn't work your way होइन. So the fact that you cannot give up, the fact that you have to continuously your perseverance जुन हामी भन्छौँ नि, that is necessary के for young people. अब मैले when I had conversation with my मेरो छोरीको साथीहरूसँग होइन, and one of them was going to Australia के, and he told me अपर्च्युनिटी टन्नै हुन्छ आन्टी, जस्तो पनि पाइहाल्छ त्यहाँ. अनि मैले उसलाई भनेको जस्तो पनि भनेर हुँदैन. यु नो, अस्ट्रेलियामा यु हेभ टु वर्क हार्ड. इट्स नट अबाउट सिटिङ एट अ टेबल वेयर योर मम सर्भ्स यु डिनर, वेयर ड्याड गिभ्स यु छोरा ल आज लिएर जाउँ नि त, साथीहरूसँग जाउँ नि त. इट्स अबाउट यु मेकिङ डिसिजन फर यर सेल्फ होइन. हि वाज नेभर कन्भिन्स्ड कि. अब आई डोन्ट नो अफ हिम अहिले, तर अब I bless that wherever he is, he's in a happy place and he's doing great होइन. तर यङ मान्छेलाई के हुन्छ भने they see a faster way to do things के. शॉर्टकट्सहरू भयो भने फटाफट. अब यहाँ केही छैन. I can imagine Nepal has problems, but Nepal is a great place to be in के. मेरो आफ्नो पर्सनल उसमा चाहिँ होइन. You have your family and friends and you have an opportunity होइन. तपाईँलाई गाह्रो भयो भने you can reach out to your loved ones होइन. अब बाहिर युरोपमा अमेरिकामा 17 वर्ष हुनसाथ you have to be independent. अनि गभर्मेन्टले सिस्टम पनि त्यस्तै बनाएको छ नि त. You have student loansहरू छ, you know, you have student hostelsहरू छ, you have jobs for students. तपाईँले 40 hours a week काम नगरे पनि 20 घण्टा काम गरेर you can do certain things. So गभर्मेन्टको सिस्टमै त्यस्तो बनाएको भएर it is easier. हामी we still need to grow there के. त्यो हुनै बाँकी छ. अब अहिले भर्खर त you know इन्टर्नसिप्सको कुराहरू नि, मैले इन्टर्नसिप गर्दाखेरि it was a non-paid internship होइन. And it was not because people were not willing to pay me, but because that's how it started नि त. We were in the infancy volunteeringको कुराहरू होइन. अब अहिले आएर कस्तो छ, such lot of development organization offer a paid internship. गभर्मेन्टको चाहिँ लेबर लले पनि minimal wages दिनुपर्छ भन्छ. तपाईँले चिनी राख्यो भने minimal wages. So their opportunities are growing होइन. तर हाम्रो सिस्टममै पनि त स्टुडेन्टलाई इन्डिपेन्डेन्ट हुनलाई त त्यो स्ट्रक्चर बन्नु पर्यो नि त. त्यो त अहिले छैन नि त. So you as being a Nepali child in Nepal cannot imagine कि you will have same privileges as a European child के. उसको स्ट्रगल आफ्नो ठाउँमा छ, I get it. तर स्ट्रक्चर छ नि त, हाम्रोमा नहुन सक्छ नि त. So when you say, I want to be very independent, I'd like to hear from young people, I want to be financially independent.
Right.
I want to make my decisions, go for it. But look at what the struggles of the world are. It cannot be like in the arm and in the safety of your parents and your home. You want to be independent.
The comfort of your home.
The comfort of your home. But when you go outside, it's a brutal
It's an
world
open
outside.
world.
Yeah, and
It's an open competition.
everything is a competition, and you
Yeah.
just have to do the best you can to get there. Okay?
You come from अब अहिले डेभलपमेन्ट सेक्टर एउटा अर्गनाइजेसन लिड गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ युथलाई डेभलपमेन्ट सेक्टर नेपालको कन्टेक्समा डेभलपमेन्ट सेक्टर कतिको एट्र्याक्टिभ सेक्टर हो जस्तो लाग्छ तपाईँलाई हाउ युथहरू यो सेक्टरमा काम गर्छु अनि एफर्ट राख्छु भनेर आउने चाहिँ कतिको सम्भावना छ अनि पर्सपेक्टिभ कतिको छ
A lot of perspective. Just to, I've been in the development sector about almost 20 years now.
हजुर
And I also made my way up gradually. धेरै कुराहरू सिकेर, contextual समस्याहरू सिकेर. But त्यही हो कि, it's not just about doing a job. For me, working in a development sector is about a passion. It's about the service to the society or service to whatever you do. And you have to do with all ingenuity in your heart. अब तपाईँले काम गर्दाखेरि एक त तपाईँलाई contextual problemsहरू थाहा हुनु पर्यो. You have to have a knowledge of how to solve it. जस्तो हामी climate changeको कुरा गर्छौँ, there are so many things evolving. नेपालमै पनि कतिवटा कुराहरू छ. त्यो सबै कुराको जानकारी हुनु पर्यो, knowledge हुनु पर्यो, understanding हुनु पर्यो. And it has to be driven by passion and not just job. If things become just a job, 9 to 5, then you're never successful. Business pani त्यस्तै त हो नि. You have to really, it has to come out of your passion and your dedication to do something. And development sector pani त्यही हो. अब I think there are numerous opportunities for young people. अहिले कस्तो पनि हुन्छ भने म आफै पनि, I'm a very big fan of working with young people. I was in a Model United Nations program. He's one of the Youth Thinkers Society program. It was so nice to see young people. All they're talking about issues from the globe. UN Model United Nations, but they talk about problems of the world. They also talk about how to solve it. And I think young people come with dynamism, with an energy to do something. But you also have to come with the fact that तपाईँलाई enough awareness हुनु पर्यो, knowledge हुनु पर्यो. You have to continuously build on your skills. जस्तो if you want to speak about an issue, त्यो इस्युको बारेमा तपाईँलाई जानकारी फुल्ली हुनु पर्यो नि त. Guessesमा काम गर्नु भएन, And for that you have to invest on your learning. Better learning हुनु पर्यो. तपाईँले researchहरू गर्नु पर्यो. Better way of writing हुनु पर्यो. तपाईँको presentation skillsहरू hone गर्नु पर्यो, So it doesn't come in a day, and it's fine. But if you have an intent to become a better development professional, त्यो खालको career trajectory छान्ने हो भने चाहिँ, it has to come with a passion and an awareness. So हामीले भन्छौँ नि अहिले, because जस्तो habitatमै हेर्नु भयो भने, we work with a lot of volunteers. We work with young people. Young people, the हाम्रो अहिले youth for development भनेर, this is in the genes of Habitat's work. And we want to harvest this young energy. And we want to create a platform as an organization, as a workplace, where you can recruit more young talents. But the young talents also have to give back to the organization and the society. So whatever you know today shouldn't remain as malai yo thaha cha. It should grow to become अब मलाई यो भन्दा better थाहा छ. I want to solve the problem. You have to go in a career path where you say कि I want to be somebody who will devise solutions, who will come with not just talk about problems and frustration, talks about creative ideas. And I think young people have a talent to become and make the society that the way they want to be. The frustration will not help. Working on yourself, working on your skills, and making a better version of yourself every day, that'll be helpful. किनभने मेरो बच्चाहरू पनि तपाईको बच्चाहरू, and many young people today here, hopefully they will stay here. If they go abroad, education पाउँछ, cultural awareness हुन्छ, intergenerational knowledgeहरू लिएर आउँछ, intercultural knowledgeहरू आउँछ, communicationsहरू सिकेर आउँछ. But hopefully they can come back to their country and invest in this country. Because I think there is so much potential. I just love Nepal. And it doesn't come out of the patriotism but आएको भन्दिनँ. I'm very proud to be who I am, a Nepali professional working in this sector, contributing. And I know my limitations. I can't solve the entire problem of the world. Nobody can. But collectively, if you come to a point where you say, our collective strength really matters, that is where you can make a change. And this is also for the young people, my children and many other children in this country, to really think from that perspective.
So जुन युथको कुरा गरिरहेको छौँ उहाँहरू चाहिँ काम गर्न चाहनुहुन्छ एनर्जी राख्न पनि तयार हुनुहुन्छ दे वान्ट डु इट बट सम हाउ दे वान्ट टु हेभ अ फास्ट रिजल्ट दे वान्ट टु नो वाट्स गन ह्यापन इफ इट्स गन सक्सिड ओर नट सो त्यो स्टेटमा डेभलपमेन्ट सेक्टरमा टाइम त दिनु पऱ्यो एफर्ट पनि दिनु पऱ्यो इट्स नट लाइक 1 इयरमा एउटा बिग अचिभमेन्ट भइहाल्ला अथवा हुन्छ नि इट टेक्स मेनी इयर्स टु सी सोसल चेन्ज आफ्टर अल आई थिङ्क मोस्टली वी डिल विथ सोसाइटल बिहेभियरल चेन्ज एन्ड देन त्यसरी चाहिँ हामीले एउटा अचिभेबल बेन्चमार्क इस्टाब्लिस गरेर हुन्छौँ नि त सो त्यो सेक्टरमा त्यो हिसाबमा हेर्दाखेरि यङ जेनेरेसनलाई डेभलपमेन्ट सेक्टरमा आउन र यहाँ बसेर चाहिँ काम इस्टाब्लिस गर्नको लागि चाहिँ अपर्च्युनिटी कतिको छ
if you look at it, I know that अहिले धेरै development agencies-हरुले young professional programs-हरु खोल्नुहुन्छ हैन हाम्रो habitat-मै पनि we have a young professional program, we have trainee programs हैन so it's all an invitation of course there's sometimes a general frustration experience नभइकन तपाईलाई लिँदैन अनि experience हुनलाई पनि you have to get somewhere right so मलाई कस्तो हुन्छ भने if you even get a chance for an internship or volunteering don't be hesitant भन्छु के म I myself started my career as a volunteer and I'm very proud of it because it was also a time where the organization I worked with gave me back tons of knowledge and I was also able to utilize what I learned so I was also allowed to make mistake for instance I was allowed to not know everything. When you're a professional development career, you can't say malai tha chaina. You have to have a responsibility. You have to say malai tha cha ma garna sakchu. But when you start fresh and young, let's say as a volunteer, as an intern, as a young professional going garnu bhayo bhane, you have a possibility to say ma sikshu, you know? And let's always be very humane कि सिक्ने कुरा त it never ends नि अनि तपाईले गर्नु नै भएको छैन भने तपाईलाई थाहा हुँदैन तर you come with an attitude कि म सिक्छु अनि गर्छु पनि I will write better reports for instance I'll make a better presentation I will go and understand the issues so well that I will communicate it better to the world and I have seen so many young people marvelous talents when they're I mean yesterday I met so many young people and I was asking myself, I was not as smart when I was their age, you know? Right. And this is what the technology has done. That you have more access, you have more places where you can go, where you can learn, where you can ask questions, where you can also find yourself through research. You had to pay for surfing internet. होइन आधा घन्टा चलाएपछि कति पैसा तिर्नुपर्छ होइन त्यसो त अहिले छैन नि त सो मेक अ गुड युज अफ इट के डोन्ट जस्ट स्पेन्ड टाइम समटाइम्स आई फिल लाइक ब्लगरहरूको भिडियो हेरेर हामी सबै दङ्ग परिरहेको छौँ आई टेल माइसेल्फ उसले ब्लगिङ गरेर एकदम पैसा कमाउँदैछ होइन हि अर सी इज पुटिङ अल द एनर्जी हामी चाहिँ हाम्रो एकदम टाइम खेर फालेर वी आर जस्ट लुकिङ एट इट राइट सो डु समथिङ विथ यर टाइम
आर दे विलिङ टु गो टु रुरल पार्ट्स अफ नेपाल किनभने नेपाल भने काठमाडौँ मात्र होइन डेभलपमेन्ट सेक्टर भनेपछि यहाँ काठमाडौँ बसेर अलिकति सर्टेन you know 4-figure 5-figure salary कमायो अनि एउटा लिभिङ मजाले गर्न सकिन्छ भन्ने मात्रै एउटा अन्डरस्ट्यान्डिङ होला हैन तर एक्चुअल डेभलपमेन्ट सेक्टरको काम भनेको त वेयर इट इज निडेड हैन व्हिच इज लाइक रुरल सेक्टर्स अफ नेपाल अलिकति दूरदराजमा धेरै चाहिएला सर्भिसहरू ट्रेनिङ्स प्रोग्राम्स आर दे विलिङ टु गो एन्ड स्टे एन्ड you know make the change work harder the young people?
Well, there should be a willingness because it's also about understanding the आफ्नै countryको landscape. How does it look like? You know, हिमाल पहाड तराई भन्दाखेरि कस्तो खालको समस्याहरू छ? How do you get there? You know, to understand the crucial element of livelihoods there. You know, मान्छेलाई कतिको गाह्रो छ? How do they survive? What are the kinds of things they do? And how you can contribute भनेर नि. And you know, when you're talking about it, of course, it also seems like for somebody who is starting a career, philosophical त भनिहाल्छ नि. Of course, things are philosophical. And I wouldn't say it's not. You know, you also have to think about a bit of a going forward and talk about values and principles. These are critical things in life. किनभने यो फाउन्डेसन कुरा नभइकन you'll not be able to contribute. And तपाईँले societyको realities-हरु हेर्नुहुन्छ and you want to do better नि त. तर त्यो better गर्नलाई पनि त you have a choice. तपाईँ यो गर्ने कि यस्तो गर्ने कि तपाईले better सिक्ने कि you know when you're studying you have a choice to study science or arts or management हैन. Of course you get help from your parents or from your friends and peers and society on what you want to do. Once you have made a choice, you have a choice to do it in a certain way. And it should be driven by what you think is at the core of your heart. Where do you want to head to? Whatever you need to do, you do it with finesse. You do it full and complete.
Absolutely.
मैले एउटा सिकेको मन्दिर discipline is absolutely critical होइन अब and that discipline also reflects on your time management, on what you do every day, what you read, who you talk to, where you engage your heart and mind, where do you spend your energy. Okay? For me, that's very critical. I'm an early riser. म एकदम छिटो छिटो भन्नाले अब I'm an early sleeper and an early riser. होइन What has helped me in my life is when you are in that critical bihanako period, when you're up, you have time for listening to your podcast. You can do a little bit of
Reading.
adhyatmako kura. You can do a
Yeah.
little bit of reading. You can connect with your body. You can do some fitness exercise. You also have time for your pets. You also get time to have a chat with your partner, with your
Yeah.
husband. होइन Evening, I'm usually very tired, so that is the time when I need to go back and
Yeah.
close it. होइन तर अब I'm also somebody who might not be engaged too much on social media or TV or things.
Yeah.
होइन It's just the weekend I get to see movies. तर एउटा डिसिप्लिन चाहिँ बनाउनु पऱ्यो कि इट क्यानट बी जस्ट एड हक एन्ड डु वाट एभर यु लाइक होइन
Yeah.
सो मेक इट मोर स्ट्रक्चर्ड लुक एट वाट यु दिस इज एक्ज्याक्टली वाट आई टेल टु माई गर्ल्स इट कान्ट बी 100% पर्फेक्ट तर मेक इट अ बिट स्ट्रक्चर्ड वाट डु यु वान्ट टु वर्क अन do you want to
Yeah.
spend time reading? Do you want to spend time making a good art? You can also spend time playing with your friends. So don't make it 7 hours.
Yeah.
Make it maybe half an hour.
Yeah.
And then you cut it back and do something productive.
Isn't
Right? Don't sit on the internet whole day and exhaust your energy. Go out.
Yeah.
Explore the world. How many people really know how the world is dealing with climate change today? How many young people? Right?
Yeah.
हामी केही गर्न सक्दैन fine, but to have an awareness कि your actions will contribute to them gradually is something. Okay?
Yeah.
So don't put yourself in a very comfortable position and say, "Yo samasya cha, tyo samasya cha, yo hundaina." Be a part of the living, vibrant society. Okay? And think about where do I want to invest this energy on. That
Yeah.
is critical.
I think sometimes we are unwillingly like unconsciously pessimistic. अब यो हुँदै हुँदैन यो यस्तै हो भनेर हुन्छ नि we sort of give up and we don't pay attention to even trying from our side, even doing a little bit that we can.
Yeah.
Like प्लास्टिककै ओभरयुजको कुराहरू होला आफ्नो डेली लाइफमा सानो सानो चेन्जहरू ल्याउन सकिन्छ but we don't pay attention because it's not going to bring about a change overnight भनेर होइन so I think it also is a matter of our practice and again making it ingrained in our everyday life, our behaviors, right?
So, I remember मैले एउटा सानो डिसिप्लिनको कुरा गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ I love dogs होइन and I love cats. I don't say I love animals because I am a non-vegetarian and I shouldn't say that ethically, but I love pets. So मैले एउटा सिकेको के हो भन्दाखेरि the first thing started for me by rescuing the street dogs. होइन अब मैले कोभिडको बेलामा पनि I fed 25-30वटालाई I used to go and feed them. I rescued many street animals. मेरो आफ्नै घरमा भएको पनि they're all street animals. होइन I am mindful that I can't change the fate of all the animals in the street, but I can change the fate of one, by not buying another puppy maybe, by doing my bit on maybe feeding the community animals. And nobody gives me certificate for doing that. It's my value, okay? It's my principle. It's my inherent quality of how I can give back to the society. So nobody has to always give you award for doing certain things. Okay? Don't expect that people will always say, wow, timle yo garyo, timle tyo garyo. Don't expect that. Do what is right from your principles and values. Okay? And you will just get slowly there because this is also the character you built over time, the character of kindness, the character of perseverance. You do it no matter what. Even when you can't do it to 100%, maybe you do it 50%. But you still do it.
This was also something we had in our minds with our team when we were doing this podcast. Like it's not that we're going to make about a big change. I know हामीले show गरेपछि if like दुईजना पाँचजना मान्छेले पनि हाम्रो सो हेरेर चाहिँ मेबी हाम्रो कन्भर्सेसन हेरेर तपाईँको कुरा सुनेर they want to do something about it भन्यो भने I think it's a big thing for us. So you see the core matter that we're talking about here is that we don't have to put these big expectations to be fulfilled. Right? Absolutely. Now coming back again, अलिकति यहाँको organization Habitat for Nepal जुन lead गर्नु भएको छ how long has it been? कति years भयो?
2 years now.
2 years now.
2 years that I have been
हजुर
there.
अलिकति मलाई Habitat नेपालले कसरी अहिले नेपालमा चाहिँ फङ्सन गरिरहेछ आफ्नो कामहरूलाई कसरी विस्तार गरिरहेछ अलिकति प्रेजेन्ट गर्नुपर्दाखेरि
Habitat for Humanity in Nepal, we've been in Nepal for 26 years now, and we have worked in the sector of shelter, right? So हामी चाहिँ के गर्छौँ भन्दाखेरि the core of our work is basically to provide shelter and decent shelter भन्छौँ हामी to the most marginalized communities. So हामी चाहिँ we work in East, Central and Western Terai. Traditionally we have been there. हामी के गर्छौँ भन्दाखेरि we partner with the local government and we work on a partnership model. So local government ले चाहिँ हामीलाई 50% funding provide गर्नुहुन्छ अनि land provide गर्नुहुन्छ and we work together to scout out who are the most marginalized. So हामीले marginalized भनेको यो generation of discrimination हाम्रो दलित communitiesहरू हुनुहुन्छ हाम्रो मधेसमा थुप्रै indigenous communities हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरूको चाहिँ who don't own even a single सानो even a single inch of a centimeter of a land उहाँहरूको लागि चाहिँ we work हैन so हामीले so far 200,000 plus families we have served them अब अहिले हामीले के पनि हेर्छौँ भन्दाखेरि needs यति immense छ that Habitat Nepal alone cannot do everything okay? And that's why we need more partnership हैन हामीले घर बनायो how can we look into other aspects of health and education and livelihoods पनि छ नि त त्यसमा हैन तर हामीले over the years के देखेका छौँ भन्दाखेरि when you have a home it's a foundation to everything you know it's a foundation to women agency it's a foundation to good health it's a foundation where children can continue their education it's a foundation where you have better health impacts तपाईको चाहिँ fundings they are better channelized to other productive resources हैन so हामीले के पनि भन्छौँ भन्दाखेरि यस्तो राम्रो कामलाई अझै expedite गर्न त if we did it alone it would take us 3,000 years if we had to solve all the housing deficit in Nepal हैन so हाम्रो अहिले partnership with local government we're really expediting it we're really grateful about especially they've been very open the local government has been really open to work with us together in providing shelter in providing land अब land त थुप्रै त छैन it's limited Nepalमा so you also have to look into safer land कहाँ खोज्ने you know disaster prone areas बाट बाहिर कसरी ल्याउने communitiesहरूलाई and you continue to give them a sense of belonging as a home and a community
Habitat for Humanity Nepal भनेपछि लेमनको हिसाबले चाहिँ उसले जसको ल्यान्ड छैन जसको घर छैन जसलाई समस्या छ एउटा छत छैन हैन सो त्यो त्यसबाट गुज्रिरहेको व्यक्तिहरूलाई घर बनाइदिने हो कि अब घर भनेपछि हजुरले अहिले भन्नुभएको जस्तो घर त एउटा बेस त भयो अब त्यहाँ त सर्टेन सुविधाहरू हुनु पर्यो शिक्षा पनि आउला स्वास्थ्यको कुरा पनि आउला सो ह्याबिटाटले चाहिँ के गरिदिन्छ कति कुराहरू
सो हाम्रो फाउन्डेसनल काम भनेको इट्स बेसिकली कन्स्ट्रक्सन अफ होम नै हो हैन तर त्यो कन्स्ट्रक्सन अफ होमको लागि पनि अब हामीले चाहिँ वी रेज फन्डिङ हामीले ह्याबिटाटले ग्लोबली वी हेभ भेरी जेनरस डोनर्स हैन अब युरोपमा अमेरिकामा वी हेभ आवर टाइट डोनर्स भनौँ वी हेभ आवर फाउन्डेसन जसले चाहिँ हामीलाई एकदम सपोर्ट गर्नुहुन्छ तर कन्टिन्युटी गर्नको लागि हामी कस्तो अवस्थामा जान चाहन्छौँ भने लोकल गभर्मेन्टले चाहिँ एकदम प्रोएक्टिभली चाहिँ यो एजेन्डालाई चाहिँ अगाडि बढाओस् हैन जसको घर छैन उसको लागि चाहिँ हाउ क्यान यु मेक them homes available भन्ने कुरा हैन सो त्यसको लागि पनि अहिले हामीले के भन्छौँ भन्दाखेरि we always go in a partnership model है we look at the most difficult areas जस्तो सबै ठाउँमा हामी पुगेका छैनौँ अहिले हाम्रो प्रायोरिटी भनेको मधेस र सुदूरपश्चिम छ अनि कोशीमा पनि हामी काम गर्छौँ तर हामीले के हेर्छौँ भन्दाखेरि जहाँ मोस्ट डिप्राइभ कम्युनिटिज जहाँ हुनुहुन्छ हामी त्यहाँ जान्छौँ जहाँ लोकल गभर्मेन्ट इज रेडी टु प्रोभाइड अस विथ funding and land that's critical हैन अब कहिलेकाहीँ हामी अरू पार्टनरशिप्सहरू पनि हेर्छौँ on the social side of it waterको side of it हैन तर लोकल गभर्मेन्टको भूमिका एकदम अहम हुन्छ कि यसमा it's not just about making one home but it's creating stable communities नि त्यहाँ तपाईँले भन्नुभयो जस्तै बिजुलीको कुरा हुन्छ खानेपानीको कुरा हुन्छ बाटोघाटोको कुरा हुन्छ खेल्ने ठाउँको कुराहरू होला सो लङ टर्ममा चाहिँ यो चाहिँ सबै इन्हान्स गर्नु पर्यो एन्स्योर गर्नु पर्यो सो हाम्रो ह्याबिटाटको चाहिँ प्राइमरी हाम्रो ग्लोबली अहिले कस्तो छ भन्दाखेरि वी टक अबाउट बिल्ड एन्ड इन्फ्लुएन्स के कन्स्ट्रक्ट हामी गर्दै जान्छौँ द्याट्स आवर निश सेल्टर तर हामी वी अल्सो वर्क भेरी क्लोजली विथ पोलिसी मेकर्स विथ यु नो विथ एजेन्सिज अन एडभोकेटिङ कसरी हामीले चाहिँ यो सुनिश्चित गर्न सक्छौँ भनेर द्याट्स वाट वी वान्ट टु डु
सो जो मार्जिनलाइज्ड ब्याकग्राउन्डबाट आउनुभएको व्यक्तिहरू हुनुहुन्छ उहाँहरू ह्याबिटाटमा आएर उहाँहरूको समस्या उहाँहरूको कन्डिसन सिचुएसन तपाईँलाई भनेपछि उहाँहरू तपाईँ जानुहुन्छ रिसर्च अथवा रिसर्च र एउटा तपाईँको एनालिसिसबाट चाहिँ यो कम्युनिटी अथवा यो ठाउँमा यो ल्यान्डमा चाहिँ हामीले सर्भिस दिनुपर्ने छ यो यहाँ चाहिँ हामी जानुपर्छ भनेर काम गर्नुहुन्छ कसरी गरिन्छ यो रिच आउट कसरी गर्ने
सो ह्याबिटाट अब we've been here 26 years and I've been only here for 2 years तर at our हाम्रो हिस्टोरिकली पनि के हो भन्दाखेरि ह्याबिटाटको ग्लोबली मिसन भनेको के हो भन्दाखेरि जहाँ एकदम गाह्रो छ जहाँ एकदम दुःख छ जसलाई एकदम निड छ त्यो कम्युनिटीले पाउनुपर्छ यु नो यु क्रिएट स्टेबल कम्युनिटिज एन्ड स्टेबल लाइफ्स आउट अफ इट अब अहिले हाम्रो के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि हाम्रो फिल्ड अफिसेसहरू छ होइन सो हामीले कन्टिन्युसली हामीले एक किसिमको ओभरआर्किङ रिसर्च त हामीले गरिसक्यौँ सो वी नो फर इन्स्टेन्स मधेस र सुदूरपश्चिमको निड एकदमै हाइएस्ट छ होइन सो त्यो एरियामा हामी चाहिँ लोकल गभर्मेन्टसँग वी कन्टिन्युसली बिल्ड रिलेसनसिप हामी लोकल प्रोभिन्सियल लेभलमा चाहिँ कुरा गरेर तपाईँहरूले क्यान वी स्टार्ट वर्किङ होइन किनभने यो फन्डिङ सपोर्ट र ल्यान्ड त हुनु पऱ्यो यो नभए त ह्याबिटाटले घर बनाउन सक्दैन होइन एन्ड वी हेभ अ टिम अब त्यो टिममा वी हेभ पोलिसी एक्सपर्टहरू पनि हुनुहुन्छ क्लाइमेट जस्टिसमा काम गर्ने डिजास्टरमा काम गर्ने होइन मार्केट सिस्टम प्राइभेट सेक्टरमा काम गर्ने ल्यान्ड राइट्सहरूमा काम गर्ने यो सबै कुरा कम्स इन इन्टिग्रेटेड वे सो हाम्रो अहिलेको नयाँ स्ट्राटेजीले पनि के भन्छ भन्दाखेरि काम गर्दाखेरि एकदम इन्टिग्रेटेड वेमा गर्नु पऱ्यो नट इन साइलो नट इन अ ट्रान्ज्याक्सनल वे लुक इन टु अ बिगर पिक्चर अफ वाट इज निडेड होइन नेपालमा कस्तो किसिमको चाहिन्छ अनि त्यसमा तपाईँले म यति घर बनाउँछु अनि इट्स डन होइन कि इट्स अबाउट गिभिङ मोर इम्प्याक्ट टु पिपल अब हामीले चाहिँ के सोचेको छौँ नेक्स्ट 3 इयर्समा वी वान्ट टु रिच आउट टु 500,000 पिपल भनेर भनेको छौँ होइन इट क्यान बी थ्रु आवर वर्क अन होम्स अर अन ल्यान्ड राइट्स अर फाइनेन्सियल लिट्रेसी अराउन्ड ल्यान्ड होइन अथवा फाइनेन्सियल लिट्रेसी अराउन्ड वुमेन एजेन्सी यो सबै कुरा चाहिँ इट कम्स टुगेदर
अन अ पर्सनल नोट होइन मैले हजुर के सोध्न खोजेँ अहिले भर्खरै भन्दाखेरि जो मान्छेको घरै छैन जो मान्छेको एउटा सेफ सेल्टर एउटा छत छैन उसको त लाइफको प्रायोरिटी नै एउटा सेफ ठाउँ बनाउने म एउटा ठाउँमा बस्न पाए हुन्थ्यो यो एउटा यति बनाउन पाए यति सानो जग्गा अथवा यति खालको घर भए हुन्थ्यो भन्ने खालको एउटा इच्छा हुन्छ होला होइन सो त्यही जुटाउन आफ्नो लाइफ इन्भेस्ट गरेर हुन्छ टाइम इन्भेस्ट गरेर हुन्छ होइन सो त्यो व्यक्तिलाई आफ्नो लाइफ अनि आफ्नो प्रायोरिटी आफ्नो अचिभमेन्ट अचिभ गर्नको लागि म केही गर्छु भने त त्यो बाटो त उसले बनाएकै हुँदैन होला नि त है सो तपाईँले अन अ पर्सनल लेभल कस्तो देख्नु भएको छ अवस्थाहरू मान्छेको
सो अब मैले लास्ट 2 इयर्समा म धेरैचोटि आई हेभ बिन टु द फिल्ड होइन आई हेभ बिन टु मेनी अफ आवर प्रोजेक्ट एरियाज प्रोजेक्ट वर्किङ एरियाज अब त्यहाँ कस्तो हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि यु सी लट अफ सक्सेस एज अ रिजल्ट अफ सेल्टर बिल्डिङ अब आइ एम नट नेसरली सेङ हामीले सबै समस्या सल्भ गरिसक्यो नो देयर मेनी मोर होइन धेरैजनालाई निड छ धेरैजनालाई आवासको आवश्यकता छ अब फन्डामेन्टली सोसियली पनि एकदमै लोवर लेभलमा मान्छेहरू बसिराख्नु भएको छ होइन तर हामीले के देखाएको छौँ भने अब सबैको निड्स एकैचोटि फुलफिल गर्न नसकेको भएर त्यो कम्युनिटीमा पनि यु गो टु द मोस्ट मार्जिनलाइज कि जसको चाहिँ मल्टिपल मार्जिनलाइजेसन भनौँ न अब डिस्क्रिमिनेसन भनौँ एजुकेसन भन्यो उनीहरूको यु नो लिभिङ इन्डेक्स भनौँ त्यो सबै कुराले वी हेभ प्रायोरिटाइज कम्युनिटी जस्तो maybe it could be a single woman, it could be a woman-led household or a person with disability. त्यो सबै हामीले छनौट चाहिँ कसरी गर्छौँ भन्दाखेरि it's done with the community and it's done with the local government के किनभने साइलोमा काम गरेर त हुँदैन of course we come with a good intent everybody comes with a good intent तर good intentलाई चाहिँ रिजल्टसम्म पुर्याउनको लागि you also have to have a robust way to work के सो तपाईँले अहिले हाम्रो कम्युनिटिजहरू देख्नुभयो भने देयर सम कम्युनिटिज हु आर एक्सेप्सनल उहाँहरूले घर बनाएपछि अहिले उहाँको चाहिँ फलफुलको बारी छ उहाँले चाहिँ बच्चाहरूलाई पढाउनुहुन्छ होइन अब वर्षौँदेखि रेन्टमा बसिरहेको अहिले आफ्नो घर भएपछि दे क्यान इन्भेस्ट अन देयर हेल्थ होइन तर दे ग्रेजुअली बिल्ड देयर लाइफ हजुर किनभने तपाईँको घर हुनसाथै एक्ज्याक्टली अरू चिजहरू सोच्न पायो नि त यु क्यान पुट यर सेभिङ इन्टु मोर decent khalko चाहिँ other productive sector ni ta so that has been what it has been very heartwarming Mandira actually for me and I'm really very proud to support Habitat mission in Nepal I think it takes a lot of courage Habitat is working across 70 countries globally and I have such a lot of respect for everyone who works on this mission and for development community in general I also happen to be the member of AI and Steering Committee. Hamro 113 INGOs groups. It's an association. So I also happen to be on the steering committee of that group. And a lot of respect for what the development community brings in. But just like for Habitat, I think we're all looking for partnerships, not just in personal lives, in career, in professional lives. And we have to find those synergies where we can hold our hands together and do better.
I have a huge respect towards you and this organization itself. It's because like, मान्छेलाई आफ्नो काम आफ्नो एम आफ्नो गोललाई प्रायोरिटाइज गर्न धेरै कुराहरूको सपोर्ट चाहिन्छ नि त सो त्यो अरू कुराहरू भने मैले अघि होइन सो त्यो सबै कुरालाई टाइम दिने ध्यान दिने मौका दिनुभएको छ कि तपाईँले बाई हेल्पिङ देम ह्याभ अ सेफ होम or safe shelter. Okay, so I'm really happy and so pleased to have this insightful conversation with you today, where you talked about all your work journey and your experiences. So I'm so happy and congratulations once again for whatever you're doing. For whatever, wherever you are. And also as हाम्रो सोमा आइदिनु भएकोमा अनि sharing with us your personal insights पनि I'm so happy that you made your time and once again how did you feel about it?
It was nice. Of course, it also came from my heart. So I think a lot of sharing is also very personal. But I'm really hopeful that the initiative you have taken for young people stays like this, gets better, grows better.
Thank you.
And a little bit of, encouragement also for our young people, young talents. I think the world doesn't end here. There's a lot of things to do. And world has so many problems, and you can just yota matra solve garyo bhane pani there are a ton of things to do.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's also not generally always to look at from the angle of kehi pani bhayena kehi hudaina, but more from the heart of ma ke garna sakchu and how can I become better.
And one thing I would like to mention before we wrap up, you have this wonderful voice and this, carrying of your speech. Of course, you also come as a radio presenter back in your starting phase of your career. So wonderful voice once again. I'd like to really applaud for that. Once again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
Eliza
for
ji.
your time, Mandira, and thank you for this opportunity.
We'll see you soon again.